questions and answers. So our first questions are, first I think the audience is free to ask any question to any of the presenters. So you can spell out, to whom you are addressing your question. So that will solve the problem. So to revive your memory of the sessions or the papers, I read out the titles. Now, Ms. Tamara Kotalawada, she presented a paper on using musical intelligence based on intelligence-based techniques to coach young ELSL learners in acquiring grammar. And then Professor Mari Pereira made a presentation on an analysis of the English language needs of the grade 6 bilingual students studying science. And then Ms. Erandi Kitulgoda, her presentation was crossing over to the other side, attitudes held by singular medium humanities and social sciences undergraduates of Sri Lankan universities towards English. Then Mr. Ranavira's presentation, student responses to e-books, a study carried out at the Faculty of Allied Health Sciences, General Sir John Kotalawada Defence University. So I hope you remember the contents of their presentations, and I hope you have already formulated some of the questions on some of the areas appealing to you.
I want to clarify one point regarding that your one is Ms. Kotalawada. Your sample size is 30. Now you have taken the sample from the Hambantota area, rural area. Actually, from the methodological point of view, my view is that you can extend your study further in selecting some other areas also, other districts also. Otherwise, you can't generalize your conclusions. That depends on the sample. My suggestion is to enhance your sample size, incorporating other districts also into a sample. That is my one point. As Professor mentioned, there is one other solution, bilingual education. That our society, our tradition is we go to the classroom and we deliver the lectures, whatever the subject we know. But actually for the development, our team mentioned that way forward.
Yes.
The way should be changed now, actually.
Yeah.
Suggest a very good idea here. We can get some service from the other department also, language departments. We know the subject, but we don't know the other party of the communication side. That is better solution, I think.
Yeah, there is a good case in, Professor?
Can I?
Yeah, Professor Veerakon Banda's point is very, very effective, because the samples, of course, just limiting your application to one class sometimes may give you a very, very reduced picture of the situation. So you can make better. You can make a more legitimate and more acceptable form of sample out of, by extending it.
Can I add something to that? If she had said that, it should have been an action research.
Mm-hmm.
You had said that it's an action research, then it's inherent that it is not the findings are limited then to that particular thing. So where there is a clear, there's a cycle. When you say action research, you identify a problem, and then you try to find a solution to that. And then you have an intervention, and then based on, so the cycle can go on. So what you have said to have to say in the methodology is that it's an action research. Then action research you do in your own classroom,
Yeah.
finding a solution. Then after that you can get, it's a collaborative action research, then you can get 4 or 5 people to do it, or entire district to do it.
Yes. Also, an action research involves a control group also.
Not action
Yeah.
research, not necessary.
Not necessary.
No.
Yes.
Action research goes through that cycle, pop cycle, and then you find this thing.
I see.
And then do it. So then it is only limited to that particular
Right.
the classroom.
Yes,
It's a
yes.
classroom-based research, and you do it, and then you try to find a rather than waiting for the top-down solution, you start from the bottom up.
Uh-huh.
Try to find a solution
Yes.
to your own classroom.
Yes.
So it's not generalized.
Right,
It's only
right.
to that classroom. So that others also can get involved. Like if 6 teachers are teaching in parallel classes, then they can also try and see whether that is applicable to that classroom. So in the Ministry of Education,
Yes.
they are now propagating that.
Yeah.
For the teachers, they are giving even incentives, small grant to do action research.
Yeah. Thank
Not
you very
large
much,
scale.
Professor. Are there any questions on that? Yeah. Yes, please.
I have a question. I have 2 questions for both my friends. One is for Erandi and one is for Chaturanga. For Erandi, my question is based on your research, I have understood that the motivation of the native Sinhala speakers who are studying in KDU, at KDU right now, they are also having some sort of level of motivation towards English, and there are some lapses also, although the education medium is in English inside this university, but still if you look at the current pitfalls of delivering the course or maybe subject areas, we do have a lot of problems. Like when we teach them in English, sometimes most of the time they do not understand what we say. At the simplest level also, we have seen that. What is your suggestion, or maybe do you think that in your research you have given some very comprehensive insights and very valuable thoughts on this? What are your suggestions for KDU? And that's for you. And my second question goes to Chaturanga. Again, I have seen by myself when I was doing lectures for these people, students over here, yes, there is very high motivation towards e-books, like in our faculties also. There is a Faculty of Management, Social Sciences and Humanities, and I have also seen students are very much motivated to use e-books rather than using textbooks, but still the count of plagiarism would be higher in their assignments and in their work. So what are your suggestions on eliminating those sort of gaps or barriers? Thank you.
Right. Since I was the first Rangita, well, my research focuses on Sinhala medium undergraduates of the faculties of Humanities and Social Sciences. The question that you asked actually cannot be addressed through the research findings that I have got. So I think it's up for grabs for anyone who's doing research in the near future. And regarding my personal opinion, I think in any case, I think if you take the language model, the input interaction output model of that has been put forth and been contributed by researchers like Swain and Lapkin, Merrill, and Long, I think interaction and output in English is required. Through clarification checks, concept checking questions, through all that, students learn. So I think interaction in English is required to a certain point, but I think there needs to be a certain degree or a certain stratum from which we start the English medium education. So I think that has to be addressed by any officials who start courses in English medium, in the English medium. So I think that that addressed your question. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Anyway, well, plagiarism is a really unfortunate thing, and I would say you should be really, really stupid student to cut and paste while you are studying in an academic environment, especially as an undergraduate or postgraduate student. But anyway, having said, from my own experience, whenever I ask a student, even at KDU, to submit a more like assignment, I always ask them to submit a hard copy plus a soft copy. So what I tend to do is more like, I always go on Google and paste that whole thing, just to see. And if there's anything comes up, I can easily match it. I mean, it takes some time, but based on the resources that I have, that is the only way. But having said that, for example, if you actually use a software called Turnitin, that is a plagiarism detector actually, more like. I had it as well though, because for example, especially anywhere in UK, if you submit your thesis or anything, initially you submit to Turnitin website. Straight away that will show up the plagiarism score, whether it's 10%, 12%, and it even tells you where have you copied it, copied and paste, more like. So I think if you really want to move towards ebooks, and obviously we have to have something like that as well. If you really want to analyze the assignments and things, and it doesn't really cost that much, I have to be honest. I mean, compared to the money that we waste on some other things, I guess pay money to buy a plagiarism detector, software, something like Turnitin, it is really helpful. I mean, I do honestly believe now it's time for us, even regardless whether we use ebooks or not, at least have something like that. And it is pretty much, answers everything. You just copy and paste it and you don't even need to worry about most of the things. That software straight away tells you exactly, okay, you copy this bit from this book and this is a page number, and even tells you number of students actually who have submitted the same thing as different parts of the world. So I think, most probably, having a software something like Turnitin will resolve most of the problems that we may come across in future. Thank you.
Actually, e-books are not responsible for plagiarism, because even in the times there were no e-books, no internet even, or no computers, there have been a lot of cases of plagiarism, So it is it's a part of the upbringing of that those people who plagiarize concerned, rather than having such avenues and facilities. There may be a lot of possibilities for people to steal things, but if the person is sort of internally disciplined not to steal, so there is no incident of stealing on his part. So like that, so you don't need to have any qualms about e-books in regard to plagiarism. Thank you. Any other questions, please?
I'm Kitsuri Amaratunga from Department of Languages, KDU. I'm directing my question to Professor Mari Pereira. Professor, it was very interesting. This kind of approach is used in the Western world, and it is a new thing in Sri Lanka. Sometimes back it was proposed by Dr. Jayawardena, who is by me here, to use a similar kind of method at KDU as well. But we were just proposing and we were just thinking about that. We never were able to sort of implement that. Now, now that you have presented this one, so we are sort of encouraged by that, and would like to know whether it could be extended to university level education as well.
Yes. So, whereas even right now there is one of my students who's doing her research, is trying to do that at the management faculty, and another one who is about to start the research. So through that to adapt some materials and see. So whatever the ELT use to have the ELT unit, like you can say if you are teaching management, so take some management material. So both the lecturers will have to come together and find out what kind of things they need, and you can do a needs analysis and ask from the students also, because the management faculty, they are the students have said they want things in the English classroom that is related to what they are doing, like say for writing, report writing or whatever that they have to do. So like that you can prepare a syllabus first, both teachers coming together, and then do it, and then that would answer the question that she asked also, like why are students finding it difficult to study the basic things. So you can have some percentage where to develop their basic interpersonal communication skills, and then these cognitive things. So it definitely it has been done in other countries. That is what is needed actually in the university system. When we are moving on to the English medium, especially now it's hard there because some of these people have studied in the whole of their general education has been in Sinhala, and then they come to the university and then they have to study in the English medium. So it's very hard. So first you have to develop a little, while you use the same material to develop their basic interpersonal skills, and then you develop the other things like analysis, synthesis through that. Definitely can be done.
Thank you, ma'am. And in light of I have a question to ask from Mr. Rana. Now you were saying that, talking about back pain, now this e-book business, will it switch on to eye pain?
Protector and things like that, obviously that will reduce it. But having said that, when I was actually reading this one, I was even surprised. I used to carry like 20 kgs when I was in school. Undergrad, A-level, O-level student. Funny enough, but I think, honestly, back pain is a more serious problem compared to something, yeah. Thank you.
Are there any more questions, please? Well, we had a very interesting session related to mostly English language teaching. So our presenter from the UK, Miss Vimali Indratna, she sort of commenced this session with her paper on acquisition of English articles by Sinhalese EFL and ESL learners. Actually, she has done quite an amount of in-depth reading of the subject, and it's very technical. But anyway, I think the findings she has made will be very useful in times to come, because articles, I have seen a lot of people committing a lot of mistakes, in the use of articles, and sometimes the implications they produce through their speech or even their writing may have wrong notions. And then this using musical intelligence-based techniques to coach young ESL learners in acquiring grammar, that is a very interesting one again. Actually, I did my thesis, some 16 years ago. I defended it in 1997. That was on using songs to teach language to children from underprivileged backgrounds, non-English speaking underprivileged backgrounds in Sri Lanka. It was an action research. If I remember correctly, I involved 1,057 or some, that sort of a number in Sri Lanka as an action group, and then another similar number of students, as a control group. And then I did the same research in Finland also, and the samples were very strong that way. The book was published abroad, and it was in circulation for some time. So it's very, very, I'm happy to see that the same interest has sort of emerged, after I did my research in 1993, and after 20 years, again, it has sort of got some currency. And then Professor Mari Pereira's paper, an analysis of the English language needs of the grade 6 bilingual students studying science, is very relevant to the current situation of Sri Lanka, because Sri Lanka is going international, and children, although they have the freedom to choose their medium of instruction, they are invariably absorbed into an English medium instruction package when they enter universities or higher education institutes. Not only in the universities, even in technical colleges and various other institutes like Chartered Institute of Accountancy. Now they have selected English as their medium. So children can be prevented from most of those challenges, or they will be harnessed to face those challenges much easier if they are sort of exposed to the technical language they come across in science during their secondary school period. And thereby actually they learn not only, as you said, it's very important, to have these analytical skills, then various comparison skills, then evaluation skills and so on, because those things have become a lacuna in our textbooks. So the thing is, when we analyze those textbooks and sort of present our views to the textbooks writers, they sometimes take them personally, and they don't look at us even, and never invite us to any forum or anything. I have been registered as a resource person at NIE, but because of these personal grounds, I have been never invited to any textbook development forum, because people don't tolerate our views. However, in good faith, we produce those. So they think that we are sort of saboteurs, And then this Miss Erandi Kitulgoda's paper on learner attitudes towards English, especially coming from Sinhala medium undergraduate milieu, is also an interesting paper. Actually, we have to sort of rectify the attitudes first. But anyway, my idea is, if we present the language in a certain in an attractive way, I don't think the attitudes will remain so rigid and grotesque, because we can eliminate most of those attitudinal problems if we present the language properly. Music and food, you might have heard that change all kinds of attitudes towards people, or is interracial attitudes or international attitudes. Sometimes, people have all those differences can be eliminated with foods and music. Like that, languages also can change those if they comprehend the language, and they can sometimes feel some affinity in that language to themselves. So thereby we can. So rather than sort of talking much about the sociological background, you have to talk about the methodological issues also in this type of a presentation handling attitudes. Anyway, you have made some vital points, and so this the subcultures, then politicized feelings, and then nationalized feelings and so on. Those things remain with certain groups, but I don't think they are that strong in preventing students from the challenges of learning, posing problems to the students in their efforts to pursue the language. And then Mr. Ranavira's paper, he makes very large claim. Actually, right now I don't have any data to sort of agree with him or not on the point that this is the only sort of survey that has been made on the student attitudes to e-books. So when we make claims like that, sometimes we have to be a little careful, because we don't know whether other people have done those, because they have developed the corpus so much. I don't think without making any research, without sort of making any surveys on the way in which e-books appeal to students, they wouldn't have developed their websites to accommodate, just and websites like that to accommodate so much literature on various subjects. But anyway, altogether, the papers contribute to very, very relevant and thought-provoking and insightful corpus in the field of English language teaching. And I, as chair, I wish you all good luck. At the same time, I pay my gratitude to the Kothalawala Defence Academy for inviting me to chair this session and for enabling me to join with you in this fine event where we all talk about our profession of teaching English. Thank you very much.